Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV, the joy and the pain. We're here for the match preview, Morecambe Walsall. So, Morecambe fan, we have him, Joel Shooter. Hey, Joel. Quite a tough season for you guys. What with the management issues and all that.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, Derek.
Or owner issues more so.
Yeah, it's the ownership really. Obviously, Derek's position. Obviously Derek's stayed in post all season, and and he's done a good job under the circumstances. But the circumstances are ultimately very tough. I don't think it's not necessarily just down to budget. It's down to the fact that I think, in reality, I think a lot of people obviously probably know about the situation in which we signed players last summer, and that we had the 15 players all announced in one day, and it was all a bit of a mess, and that's come about because we've had some kind of weird registration issues signing players, with the EFL wanting kind of a bit more information and resolving a taxi issue, but that's the thing. Like, imagine you're Derek in the summer and you haven't got players. Yeah. Trust me, everything's going to be okay. I know we had a couple of late wage issues last season, and there's this kind of weird HMRC going on that the club has to resolve. But you can sign for us. We can't technically announce it, so you got to keep it hush. But trust me, bro, it's going to be all right. It's a bit of a tough sell. So I think, it's not only budget; it's the fact that people know what's gone on with the club, knowing that our owner hasn't been great for the past few years, and that there's this ridiculously drawn out sale process. And I think that you can see the effects of it on the league table, really.
Yeah, it's been difficult for you. I spoke with Ben Sadler, who's former CEO. Obviously, he's now at Walsall. He was saying you had fan chats where the chairman would turn up and he'd have a tin hat he'd put on for all the grief he was getting.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'd be time. I think ultimately the chairman himself is a bloke called Rod. It's a couple of guys called Rod Taylor and Graham House, and they're long-standing former directors of the club. And I think deep down everybody does understand that they work incredibly hard to keep the club running, because Jason, the owner, doesn't really have much to do with the day-to-day running of the club. All he really does is kind of occasionally find mysterious bits of funding to kind of plug the gaps here and there, while complaining that the sale process is taking so long, despite the fact that he is ultimately the one going for candidates for the sale who, on evidence so far, aren't able to pass the EFL check. So I think Rod and Graham are ultimately the two forward-facing ones. They're not long-time associates of Jason or anything. They're just working with him because of the situation. And I think there'll be the odd time where there'll be a fans for and there to come under the ire a little bit. But I think people do understand that Rod and Graham and the board and Charlie and James, and obviously previously Ben, they have been doing their very best for the club. It's just really trying circumstances.
Yeah, it's been difficult. Obviously, having the points deduction last season didn't help you. And this season, things have been tough. January, though, I think you made some good additions. January, Jed Garner is a real good addition.
Yeah, no, we got. I mean, we've managed to kind of get hold of some money to be able to give us a boost in the January transfer window. We weren't able to use it as best we ideally would have wanted, because as we were on the verge of signing players, the EFL said they wanted some more assurances about, I think, essentially about whether we could pay bills for the rest of the season, which we then had to scrabble around with, because they're just basically being extra diligent with us at the moment. Well, my understanding is they're being extra diligent with us at the moment, given the previous shenanigans that's kind of taken place under our owner, Jason. So, that kind of held up those deals. We managed to get one of the deals over the line. That's Andrew Dallas, which I think is a really good signing. He's made a decent impact so far. But unfortunately, we've missed out on others. It's been confirmed that Dylan Duffy, who's gone to Chesterfield, and actually now made it a permanent with Chesterfield a few days after signing on loan, and it looks like he's doing fantastically there. He was lined up to sign for us, which is really frustrating because it looks like we've missed out on a really quality player. And ultimately, we got this embargo issue resolved, and we managed to get Dallas over the line. But it's left us with not too much time to do too much more business. And like you say, Jed Gardner's another decent forward addition. But yeah, it's probably not as best it could have been. But I think Derek's still done a good job to get a couple of good strikers in Gardner and Dallas, and Callum Cook's another one as well. I think he's been a really good addition in a kind of number 10 role. That's something we've not really had all season, to be honest. So he's been a positive as well.
Yeah, that's definitely positive. Andrew Dallas, obviously, Solihull Moors, he did very well. Hadn't been doing too well this season, but I think, as you say, you're quite pleased with him so far. He looks good.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his time at Solihull, and obviously there's not really too much gap between, League Two and the top end of the National League, especially. So, and you look back at some of the goals he scored for Solihull, the variety, outside the box, inside the box, poaching, making a bit of room for himself, doing all sorts, and you can see he's got a really real quality strike on him. He's a good finisher. He's got good movement. He works dead hard. Really announced himself with a really good strike to open his account for us against Fleetwood. And then, I mean, look, it looks like obviously he went to straight to Barnsley from Solihull. It's a big jump to League One. It's not quite worked out there. Not quite worked out a couple of loans since then, but apparently he was doing okay at Barrow by all accounts. It was just they had a lot of competition for places and he didn't get much of a run in the side. So, I think
a good fit.
We kind of take aside the last couple. And at the end of the day, I think something we're good at as a club generally is taking players who are good, but maybe have just had a couple of bad loans or whatever recently, and putting an arm around the shoulder and hopefully giving them a place where they can really kick on.
Give them a platform to show what they can do and that sort of thing. You got another player that played for us, Jan Songo. What do you reckon to him?
I mean, Jan's he's a bit of he's kind of getting on being a bit of a club legend, really. Jan, he's not had quite the length of time here that some people you might class as a bit of a club legend, but he's a figure who's really popular among the fans. Obviously, he was first here in our promotion season. He was a really key part of the side that went up to League One. And then when Derek returned, when we were back in League Two, he's come back. He's done another kind of stalwart job in the centre of midfield. He's kind of been a bit more of a squad player this season. Obviously, age is a factor, and he needs to be rotated. And maybe we need to be. There's times where we've had to be a bit smarter in how we use him and not to knacker him. But you know what you're going to get with Jan. He's heart on the sleeve. He'll battle. He'll organise. He'll get stuck in. He'll give you everything he's got. He's not the most delicate of ball playing centre midfielders, but he can be a really effective player.
That's it. Strong, powerful presence, though. I think, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a big character. And if you're watching, he's on the bench. You look down the dugout, and obviously you got Derek and Danny Granger out the front, but you got Jan sat in the seats ordering people about. He's running down the touchline to warm up, with them ordering people about. He's a great presence to have, and I think he spurs people on, and which is really good. And if you're holding on to a 1-goal lead going late into a game, I don't think there are many more people I'd like to bring on the pitch.
He's the kind of guy you want on. Got you. Tuesday night, you pushed Doncaster quite close, didn't you? Just single goal in the end. Had some 15 shots to their 10. So you must have been pleased with the performance, even though you didn't quite get the result.
I mean, when you look at some of the stats like that on paper, it doesn't sound so bad. But if I'm honest, it was quite a disappointing performance overall in many aspects. I think coming into the game, Doncaster, they've just lost a couple of games beforehand.
Yeah,
they were going to look for a reaction, and they were a good side, Doncaster, and we saw that. And they came out the traps flying. Their lad up front, Rob Street, he's a cracking player. Really, really bullied our back line. They get the early lead, deservedly so. If they'd nabbed another one, they probably would have deserved it as well. But then we've kind of steadied the ship. I think actually there might be been a bit of wind playing a factor last night. But come out, we've had a little bit more in the second half. But I just felt we've played a couple of times in recent weeks a system where we've played kind of 4-2-1-3, 4-3-3, but the three up top has just been three centre forwards, which I think when we played Fleetwood and we played Newport, we lost at Newport, but very unluckily we beat Fleetwood. That against weaker teams, that kind of barrage, it really rattled them. It maybe was a bit of a surprise tactically as well. It really got up in their faces, and it was a good way of bullying them. But against a good outfit like Doncaster, I thought defended fantastically. They were really strong aerially, and also they had the momentum of the early lead and kind of something to hold on to as well. It just became far too predictable, and that was really frustrating because while we did have the 15 shots, you look at the shot map, they're not from particularly great locations. I think we've only had one on target, and that was probably in the last 10 minutes. So, lots of pressure, but just not much guile, which is frustrating because we've got more quality in the side now than we did a few weeks ago.
Jed Garner, he played, didn't he? How did he play on Tuesday?
He did okay. I mean, the thing is, like, when the way we were playing with that kind of narrow front three made up of three centre forwards, what I feel a lot of the time the issue when you play like so top loaded with forwards like that and not much depth in structure behind them is that what happens is the forwards end up having to run the channels a bit more, having to come deep and play make, and having to track back and defend a bit more than maybe you'd like them to. And obviously, they're not necessarily particularly effective defenders. The centre forwards, they're not going to be amazing at defending. So I think what was frustrating is he showed some good touches. Jeddy's a good footballer, but what was frustrating is it just felt like the way our team was set up, it required him to come out of the areas that he could maybe be more effective, come a bit deeper, defend, playmaker. And look, he's a good player, and you want to an extent, you want your forwards to create and be part of build-up, but it was a bit too much so last night and it just felt like it was counterproductive. It was just taking all of our centre forwards are having to do extra work in areas where they weren't as effective. So it was a bit of a frustrating one in that sense. But we've seen flashes. We've had him last season, Jed. We know he's a good footballer, and hopefully we can tweak the system a bit to get the best out of him and Andy Dallas and the other strikers we have.
Yeah, Dackers. I don't know much about Dackers. What's he?
He's an interesting one, Dackers. He's about 6'7". I've got a bit of a theory he might have been a winger back in the day and had a massive growth spurt. So somebody said, "Let's stick you up top, then, lad." Basically, he's on loan from Salford. He's had a few non-league loans. He's never really been able to establish himself in Salford's side. He's come to us. I think he's tall. He creates a bit of a ruckus in the defence. You can hit a few long balls. He'll get stuck in. He'll move people about. He'll work hard. He'll try and bring others into play. And I think he, as a kind of disruptor and a link-up striker, I don't think he's too bad. Fortunately, he's just not got much of a nose for goal, and he's looked almost a bit frightened getting on the end of crosses. But he did get his first EFL goal the other week against Fleetwood. Seems a bit more confident since then. I do wonder as well. I think, we've been, for a lot of the season, the way that things have gone, Angol was injured for such a long time. We've only just brought Dallas and Garner in. He was pretty much our only centre forward, and there was a lot of pressure on him, and he hadn't scored yet. And look, obviously, don't get me wrong, I think footballers do want to play as many minutes as they can, but it felt like maybe for Dackers, there was a lot of pressure on him to be linking the play, leading the line. And just lead the line, link play, run the channels, and score goals when he's not necessarily the best goal scorer about. And we didn't have much support from midfield in terms of goals. So, it felt like it was a bit much, but hopefully I like to think that having a few more players, a few more options, striking options in the squad takes the pressure off him a bit.
Yeah, I think you're on a decent run of form, really. You're looking like you're going to get out of trouble. Obviously, the 4-2 win over Fleetwood and the 2-0 win over Accrington That's obviously give you a help. And Tranmere is struggling at the minute. So how do you feel confident that you can perhaps catch Tranmere?
I feel confident that we'll pick up points at a better rate than we have done so far this season. I mean, sorry. Yeah, I think we'll pick up points at a better rate than we have done so far this season. We'll score more goals than we have done so far this season. I don't doubt that. I think whether it's going to be enough to make up the difference. I know there isn't loads of difference, but you know, at the end of the day, to kind of hit the 45-50 mark, we're going to have the show kind of playoff level form.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be tough. I think it's doable, but it's not going to be easy. If they have a little uptick in form, Tranmere, you know, you never know what might happen there. Same thing with Carlisle. So it will be tough. I'd like to think our form will continue. I think we need a few tweaks tactically just to make sure we get the right blend in our side, especially when we're playing a stronger team. Maybe against some of the weaker teams, like we've seen in recent weeks when we've got a good bit of quality up front now, and we can kind of go direct and bully them and get on second balls and push that way. I think that works all right. But against some of the stronger sides, like we saw against Doncaster last night, we'll need to be a bit more considered. Maybe not just think we can kind of roll past them. We played Notts County the other week. We had a good game plan then. I thought we did really well. We were a bit more considered. And we lost 2-0, but to be quite frank, we could well have drawn that game. We missed a bit of we had a couple of easy chances we missed. Maybe got a bit unlucky with one of their goals as well. So, yeah, I think we just need to make sure we're being controlled and having the right approach to games when we're playing top sides, such as Walsall on Saturday.
Well, it looks like it's going to be quite a tough game for Walsall. Walsall had a bit of a bad run. It was nice to get the win on Saturday, to sort of get ourselves back on the horse, as it were. And obviously, Walsall will be looking to sort of follow that up with another win. But the pitch is not great at the minute for you guys, is it?
No, I mean, unfortunately, it's been confirmed now that there was a disease essentially that killed off a lot of the grass. Kind of towards the start of winter, it kind of hit the pitch, and obviously there's not been a chance for the grass to be able to grow back again because of, it's winter in the northwest of England, so there ain't much likelihood of much grass growing back. So really, at the moment, it's kind of make do at the moment, and I've got to say, while it does look awful and it can't be easy to play on, it'll be heavy. In the circumstances, I think Derek has given a nod to this. I think it runs relatively flat. It doesn't churn up too much. So, yeah, look, it's not great. There's been a disease and there's not much grass. At the same time, it's not the turf isn't tearing up. The ball doesn't run amazingly, but it's not too bad. So yeah, it probably looks a bit worse than it is, but yeah, it's not ideal. But hopefully, when the sun comes out a bit more, and we'll start to see a little bit more green on it.
Yeah. Walsall's pitch needs a little bit of sunshine, I think, just like we all do. I think we all could do with a bit more sunshine. Just looking at the table, I think on recent form, I think Morecambe got a good chance to gain out of it. Tranmere, Accrington, Harrogate, perhaps, all still at risk. Gillingham on a very bad run, but Gillingham got far too much quality, I think, to drop any lower, I'd have thought. But here we are. So Walsall, we've been so far ahead in the league. It's like the refs have been trying to balance up the season, balance up the league. That's what it's felt like. But it sort of came good for us. Against Chesterfield, obviously. So that was good. Walsall bringing about 750. So it's a decent following. It's not one I'm going to get to, sadly. 12:30 kickoff in Morecambe is one I can't really get to at that time. So we'll probably do a watch along So we'll be watching from home. So we've got John O'Leary. He's suggesting maybe a 2-0 win. Steve Jones is saying most of their defeats are 1-0. So I think that's fair that you've been in most of your games, haven't you? You haven't been beat heavily.
No,
That's
not
probably
really.
fair, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've had. I think there was a couple of games earlier this season where we made it slipped off a little bit, but yeah, generally it's all been pretty tight defeats. I think we dig in pretty well. We come a lot of the time between the boxes. We've done all right, to be honest. It's just, particularly first half of the season, we just had very little quality, and
so you got better quality up front. You got better quality up front now, so more of a threat. And it seems like Derek Adams is playing with the having the strikers on there to sort of cut out the midfield almost.
A little bit. I kind of think we need a bit. Yeah, I think we need a bit more midfield, to be honest. The way, just a couple of more numbers, just because it feels like our current midfielders are getting a bit stretched, like maybe a little bit width in attack as well. So we maybe need a bit more balance. So it'll be interesting to see how he lines up on Saturday against Walsall.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, I think, because if you're playing more direct, that perhaps doesn't favour Walsall. Walsall like to play against teams who want to get the ball down and play out from the back. Sort of gives us an opportunity to sort of get the ball off them high up the pitch. But if you're launching it sort of up to the top few, then that's not such an easy one for Walsall. But we'll see. Walsall confidence, obviously, after winning on Saturday, it'll be a real big boost to their confidence. And there's some shock results on Tuesday with Wimbledon failing to win, Notts County failing to win. So that's positives going into it. We've got a chance to maybe extend the lead at the top or get a couple of extra points on the board. That's what we're hoping for. What's your prediction, Joel?
I'll go 3-1 to Morecambe. Why not be positive? Why not hope? Why not dream?
Well, I think a point away is never a bad thing, but I'm going to go for my regular. I think 2-1 to Walsall. But I know it's been a bit of a tight one today. I know you've got to shoot off. So thanks very much. Enjoying the pain and all that. We know all about that, don't we, Joel? Nice one. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Enjoy the game. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.